is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders? It is DJ Dan with Real Life Trading. Hope you guys had a fantastic evening and an absolutely beautiful morning so far today. We do have some movement in the we're still in earnings season, so we're getting some moves in some individual names. We're getting some sympathy plays from some other related companies. So hope you guys are doing fantastic. And this is hump day, right? We're halfway through free week. Type a quick one so far if you guys are enjoying free week in that chat pane. Yeah. How awesome is the all access pass for sure? 9 straight hours of market analysis, trading, learning how to financially free yourself, learning different aspects of different assets, options. We have real estate on the, oh my goodness, the calendar, and it's every week, which is crazy. But for all you old timers, all you guys that are always with me, welcome back as usual. For all the guys here in free week, welcome to free week. Especially if this is your first day with us and you're not able to make the other two. Also, I've said this before, but I would love for next week to trade with all of you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, for the next week and be with us for years to come and just make some R's together. I know, just statistics, probably not every single one of you will, right? And some of you guys, I know some of you guys, just every free week, you guys are here. I mean, which is fantastic. Welcome. Join us next one too. We do it once or twice a year, something like that. But if you are the person that cannot join us for whatever reason, number one, find out if that's really an excuse. Honestly, I mean, why would you not? I mean, for $275 a month and you get access to incredible content. What does rich people do? Oh yeah, that's right. They don't buy things. They don't buy depreciating assets. They buy appreciating asset. What is the number one in your lifetime? What is the number one appreciating asset? That's you. That is you. If you could, there you go. Tony got it. It's me. Exactly. I mean, if you spend $275 with returns every single month, whether financially gaining because you're legitimately making R's in the market, or you learn something new every single day, every single week, every single month, the growth trajectory of yourself. Like if I could get a stock chart of you, it would be crazy bullish. So just a reminder, again, don't want to sales pitch it. I want you guys to be here. And really, if the guys that could not, for the girls and guys that might not join for whatever reason, and I mean, I'm confused, I hope you guys learn at least something. I hope you take something away that will help you grow, help you develop as a person, help you develop financially. And that is the goal of real life trading, legitimately to enrich lives. And the crazy thing about it is it's not just your life, right? Because when you learn something and you're pumped, you're excited, you've accomplished paying down credit card debt, you've accomplished starting that long-term portfolio, you accomplished starting to learn how to read candles, read charts. Guess what? You're going to share that with somebody. You're going to make money. You're going to help the community. You're going to help be able to donate to that nonprofit organization you've always wanted to, but never felt like you were in the right place and the time was not now, right? So just keep in mind, it's a longer term effect for sure. But let's get into the charts. So the SPY itself, we are gapping from the close of yesterday. We are roughly just eyeballing this thing. Let's draw a quick fib from the low of yesterday all the way up to the high of yesterday, but I believe we are in roughly about 50%, maybe slightly higher from that move. So about halfway through yesterday. 413. we are probably, yep. So we're roughly over the 50%. Well, those are kind of backwards, but just eyeballing it. What I was looking for really is the 50%. And we are above that. So closer probably to a 618-ish. Let me do this too. Let me actually, since I know a lot of you guys watch the beginner room and Jeremy uses the trading view, let me switch over. I'm gonna try to keep it consistent. And then if for you guys watching me day trade in the morning, I will go back to the trading view just because I like the multiple screens. I just comfortable with trading view more so than not. New share. Good. Beautiful. And then and I usually do, by the way, keep up this trading view stock chart on a different screen for me as well. Mainly I'm looking for the developing VPOCs, things like that. But we are jumping over one of those VPOCs. We did come down yesterday for potential little double bottom. We held and we are gapping above it. The dotted line is actually a different algo, but it is still VPOC. That's giving me on a longer term basis the higher volume. So not only are we breaking out of yesterday's VPOC, but we were also above that one. So right now, yeah, going to lean bullish. With the overall market, though, somewhere in this 412.74 to 413.56 zone is going to be high resistance. The one thing I do want to look at, good morning, Hector, how are you? The one thing I want to look at is every time we got up into the zone, what did the volume actually look like? So we got up in this candle, right? That's where we rejected. The very next candle, we got somewhere over here, rejected. And the next candle somewhere in this zone got rejected, right? So we're increasing. We did increase a little bit of volume as we got into that second one. What I was really looking forward to see if this is weakening, which right now it's kind of a little choppy every time we get up there, but we still have a little bit of a downtrend, but it's not as beautiful. I would like to see that volume a little bit higher on that second push. So that's going to be a very strong resistance still. It's not quite weakened. And again, we are at maybe 50% of that little downtrend. So we're just kind of hanging out. Maybe we open with a little chop, but there is some good news out there in the market as well. So that's obviously causing us to gap up, and we'll see if we can start breaking some resistance. If we break that 413, I would even say less, 413.52 zone, probably we start to look for 418, 420 on the SPY. So Crystal says, what does rejected mean? It didn't stay the same price. No, so every time I got to, so yeah, a good point. And by the way, ask all questions that you guys have. Absolutely. When I say rejected, anytime it got up into that resistance, right? So obviously we have a pretty clear resistance somewhere, let's say here on the Qs. What I want to look for is how this bottom volume acts, meaning that the first move into it, I want to see higher volume here, interactions, transactions gets rejected. The second time up, I want to see less volume. So we do have that a little bit here, right? So we have high volume here. And the next time we interact with that resistance, we're actually all the way down here for that, right? So that means that the bulls were able to bring it right back in. There is still resistance, obviously, in the zone, but there's less and less transactions happening, meaning that the next time it probably gets up at that zone, there's less people trying to sell because they've sold here, and it's weakening, not strengthening the volume every time it gets up there. So that resistance now becomes a little bit easier to break through. Good question. I like that. Qs looks very similar to the SPY. It's a gap up. We are clearing yesterday's VPOCs, yesterday's main VPOC. The day before that is VPOC. I would expect a little bit of a pullback, probably into what I would be looking for is about the 315.34. Maybe we retest the 315.12 zone, but somewhere in there, I would like to see that hold, and then we get pushed right back into that resistance. So I would expect a little bit of profit taking at open, as we are still mid-range of yesterday. We'll see a little bit of a pullback, and then I'm going to be watching for bullish continuation throughout the day. We'll take a look at the Andrew or Albert says, for every seller, there's a buyer. How do we know the sellers dwindle and not the buyers? Good question. So yes, for every buyer, there's a seller. But what you want to see is the fact that the bulls were able to push it right back up into that zone. And then there's less transactions happening at that spot, meaning that there's not as many sellers. The sellers are obviously still there pulling the price down. But if the bulls are able to keep on pushing into that resistance and they're just not being met with a brick wall every time they get there, then it becomes easier. Eventually, there's more bulls continuing to push it into that resistance. And then eventually there's the bulls with a higher lows continuing to drive it up. And eventually there's just not many people wanting to transact to sell in that zone. Tesla looks very, very nice. It is a gap and go. It does not qualify yet by pennies. Maybe I'm exaggerating that a little bit. Maybe like $3, right? So it doesn't qualify yet. We need, for the 10 EMA strategy at least, we do need it a little bit higher. So we're going to, at least for now, we'll have to see where this thing actually interacts, but we're gapping higher than at least the open of our first hourly bearish candle. We're just kind of stuck in that wick a little bit. Again, let's see if we get a little bit of a pullback to like 911.50 would be tremendous. But I don't even know. I would say probably still more bullish. I do, again, expect a little bit of a pullback. Can we get down to 911.22, 911.50? Maybe. It's possible, but that gap does look good. It's got plenty of room to the upside. So let's do this. Zoom out a lot of it. Here's our VPOC, right? So this is where if I was shorting, if I was an institution and I was looking to short, I do not really want it to break out of this zone, right? Because then we start losing all that volume, especially if this thing starts to break 936. There's really zero interest from institutions really up until we start getting into the 976, 980 zone. So keep that in mind. If it's going to get shorted, it has to be pretty much where it's at now. Once we start breaking out of that high of the day, there's not a lot really holding this thing back. Wouldn't that be a retest gap? Yep. So let's flip it to the daily chart. Again, still opening inside candle. It is a green candle, and it is a retest gap. Yep. So if we could get some kind of a pullback, and again, that 911.50 zone is kind of where I'm looking for that pullback, but I'm still looking with a little bit more bullish edge than bearish. So the question is, yes, it is. So the gaps are stronger when they're gapping outside of the previous day candle. So we're not there yet. We're close. But if you're looking at this one candle, right, what happened in this entire area? We sold, right? We were up there at some point, and we did have a lot of selling. So it is a retest gap. I do expect probably a little bit of a pullback because you did have some buying coming in. You also had some buying all of these days, and people are still profitable in this trade. So I do expect a little bit of a pullback, but where we're gapping is above really most of the majority selling within yesterday as well. So it is a retest. I still expect that to pull back. Question is, how far is this thing going to pull back? And I'm still looking for more of a bullish sentiment than not. For 20 minutes or so before checking it for 10 EMA. Yeah, well, out of the gate, if this thing does break out higher, then it does qualify immediately. And then we could still look for a 10 EMA setup. Let's take a look at Amazon. So I know Jeremy had a trade on Amazon for yesterday. I still got, I think, those numbers up here. So let's delete some of those lines, see where we're at for today. We are right. So we're not gapping outside of the high or low of yesterday. We are right into VPOC, but it is gapping up again from yesterday, right? So we have a little bit more bullish than bearish sentiment, but you're still inside day from yesterday for sure. Really, if we start to get above, I would say this 136.63, I'd be highly interested probably to about at least 138, somewhere in that zone. Get into this previous higher volume area, but really there's not a lot stopping this thing for now. But we are obviously just trading in some kind of congestion for sure. Let's take a look at Apple real quick. Apple looks pretty much exactly like Amazon at this point. Probably about the same percentage of a gap too. AMD had earnings yesterday, so let's take a quick glance. They were estimating a 103 earnings per share. They came in at 105, so a little bit stronger there. They were estimated for about 6.53 billion, reported 6.55 billion, and they are gapping down. So decent little report, but we've seen this over and over again. You think they guided down? We've seen this over and over again. Good earnings, stock gaps down, right? Why? Mainly because there's people have been buying since 70 something dollars, $72, and you're looking at almost sell the news. You're getting those gap down. So this was a decent bearish gap and go, I believe. Yep. So we are gapping. So AMD will qualify out of the gate. We could take a play. It doesn't mean we have to go bearish. Doesn't mean we have to go bullish, but it does qualify. From what I'm seeing, it looks like a beat, depending on how they define what a beat or a miss is. But from trading view, it looks like at least for earnings per share and for revenue, that does look like a beat, at least for trading view. And again, trading view's number is not always exactly correct. Just keep in mind, earnings whisper is a little bit more reliant or reliable, I guess. But this is a gap and go. Again, good volume. I'm going to assume that a lot of that volume also came toward the very end of the day or even after hours, counting toward this volume. But it is a gap and go. I'd be looking for, if you're going to short this thing, probably look for about 91.80 and maybe even a little bit higher than that. So probably about 92.89. Doesn't give us that much room on a daily chart. We're still above the 10 EMA. So it is still relatively stronger. Let's see on the hourly chart, just so you can get a look at developing VPOC. Yeah, probably about 92.80 zone. So it does give us about $2.30 from right now. But obviously this will be one that we're going to scoot up on the list because it is a qualifying one. I'm also going to keep Tesla up there just in case we do break the high of the day, and that one qualifies. So far, Amazon, not so much. Let's take a look at NVIDIA, which should be a little bit of a sympathy play. That one is gapping down as well. Still inside yesterday's range, though. So this one will not qualify like AMD does. But it is, you would expect this one to be moving pretty much based on how AMD moves. Is it should be a little bit of a sympathy play. Watch for my first target to the downside would be 181.54 for NVIDIA for right now. So again, nothing too crazy, but we'll keep that on the list. Do you use your own gap scanner? Well, so for real life trading, for what we're doing for this year, we do have a list of stocks, 6 stocks, and then usually a wild card that we could play. So for the most part, the stocks I'm going through right now, the ones that we could take as official trades. I do have scanners. I usually mainly use those for, so one, I'm looking for news, which is not from the scanner, but I'm sure there could be some scanner news. You can even go to like Stock Twits, just see what's trending, see if anything looks interesting. Or obviously CNBC, pre-market prep. There's a ton of different, you can even go to CNBC.com, Market Watch, things like that, to find what's in the news at least, and then see if you're getting any catalyst. Otherwise, the scanners that I use, it's mainly for like TTM, squeeze, stuff like that. But for the 10 EMA strategy, we're trading the 6 stocks. Delta has a nice little gap. So see, again, if we can get a retest. The only problem with this one, obviously, is still inside day. So not as valuable as maybe some of the other stocks. PayPal had earnings and also activist investor. So definitely nice little sweet gap on PayPal. I don't know how I want to play this one yet. So I'm considering, because it's a large gap. It is a very, very large gap. We do have some people buying into this gap. I would expect probably some kind of a fade first. We do have, I'm thinking maybe we get probably some kind of a retest. I'm thinking maybe continued bullish FOMO-ness 103.50, because it is a sweet gap. So I'll be watching for this 103.50, see how it interacts at that level. Otherwise, if this thing starts fading out of the gate, I would be looking to buy this one up, as I do think, honestly, we are still trapping a lot of people. Question is, how far will this thing drop? And that's what I don't know. But maybe we get down to like 95.42, 94.54 would be interesting prices to look for some kind of baseline drop type scenario that we could take advantage of, and then maybe buy the dip back. But PayPal is going to be it's a really, really nice gap. It's just really high. So I might want to give this one a few minutes, but that one is in the news. AMD earnings whisper 109, reported 105 consensus. So yeah, so they have a little different as far as what the expectations was. What is a sentiment with a bigger gap like that? The earnings alone, but also why does earnings do that? I mean, earnings for multiple reasons. One, if especially a company, especially a lot of companies, a lot of growth companies right now, they're getting absolutely clobbered. Growth companies. PayPal's been around for a little bit, but I'd still probably push them more as a still growth company. At least tech-based companies were getting clobbered. So you have a lot of people shorting this thing. I mean, this thing was at some point, was it 220 or something, even higher? Does this make it to the threes? Yep, this was what, not too long ago in a distant future, 310, something like that. And now we're sitting below $89, but there's people shorting all the way down, just riding that thing down. And then you have earnings that are relatively decent. And then I would even say better news is, I think the activist investors were putting like $2 billion into the company or something like that. So a little bit of potential takeover-ish situation. And this is part of, okay, great. I'm a new investor. I want to get in. And what if it goes higher? I mean, it's got plenty of room to go higher. It's been around. People know the company. But then you also have a lot of the shorts in here that are now starting to get squeezed out. People that thought either this thing was heading lower or whatever case. On gaps like this, you do get people who were shorting, and now they have to buy back stocks and bring it higher, right? So anytime good news that's either unexpected, which I think there was rumors a couple of days ago, but I don't think they said how much they were putting into the company until yesterday. So I think that's more of a catalyst. But obviously, anytime good earnings come out on companies that have just been absolutely killed, a lot of times now it's more of a shock value, and people are readjusting their positions. And they're also buying back stock. Oh man, they gave the triple whammy. All right. Yep, nice gap on SoFi as well. And again, at least to TradingView, they beat. I was looking at this one this morning. But SoFi, decent little gap up, clearing good pivots, clearing high volume areas. Probably see some continuation. It's a $7 stock. It's also not on the list. So I'm not going to personally trade this one for an official trade today. It doesn't mean I won't trade it at all, but for right now, again, really, really nice gap. We are starting to push into a little bit of some resistance, at least. This thing has some room to run. And even if we go back, and a lot of the growth names, I mean, you've seen DraftKings the last couple of days do some crazy things. You've seen Uber do some crazy things yesterday. You've seen even Palantir's up a lot in the last couple of days. Some of these growth stocks were just absolutely clobbered, beat up. Worst case, doesn't mean it's going to all-time highs, but in the worst case, there's probably going to be some relief rallies. We still don't know a lot of stuff happening in the overall macro situation, but we don't really know if inflation is peaking, if that's coming down. We have to wait and see for the next report. We don't know how jobs numbers are going to continue to develop. there's just a wealth of stuff we don't really know in the economy. So is this the absolute bottom of the market? Maybe. I don't know. Could it be? Yeah. And that's why when people, when the rich people who explain how they made money in the market, building out wealth portfolios, the long-term investments, they go into the number one mistake people make is selling positions. Because if right now, this could be the absolute bottom, and by 6 months from now, market's at all-time highs. How comfortable do you think people that sold their positions probably at losses feel getting completely back in right now? You don't know when things turn around. Jose says you are the rich people. Yeah, I'm not the Warren Buffett though. I'm not Warren Buffett. I'm not Charlie Munger. So it's all perspective. It's all perspective. It just says yet. We'll see. All right, so we have 3 minutes. My people on YouTube, I see a bunch of guys on YouTube right now. In 3 minutes, I disconnect YouTube, but it is free access week, free access pass to the entire trading day at Real Life Trading. So for you guys on YouTube, if you do want to continue hanging out with us, very simple, cost you nothing. It's freemium. Go to reallifetrading.com, click on that little free week. Just type in, I don't even know what information is required, email address, and your favorite color, I guess. I have no idea what they require, but it's not anything crazy at all. So make sure if you do want to hang out with us, go there, check it out. You'll be able to log right into our Zoom rooms and check us out for the rest of today, tomorrow, and Friday for absolutely nothing if you guys do want to hang out. But in 2 minutes from now, I do have to disconnect on that. Those DC meetups rock. Oh yeah. Speaking of meetups, we also have the retreat coming up in Nashville in September, beginning of September. So if you go to reallifetrading.com, anybody could sign up to attend. You do not have to be a member with Real Life Trading to attend, but it's a great way to, number one, meet Jeremy, I believe Matt DeLong's going to be there, a couple of the other mentors. Potentially, I heard maybe Johnny Gorko might be there as well. But we have full classes, seminars. You get to train in person, learn the stock market live, not over the internet. So I know there's a certain level of, at least for me, I like to sit there and watch things in person and learn quicker and ask questions in a much smaller, more comfortable environment. Also, it's in Nashville, which, I mean, any excuse to go to Nashville, I like it. So keep in mind, you guys can all take a look at that as well. I'm going to start to disconnect from YouTube. Again, YouTubers, you are more than welcome to come join us in the actual chat rooms. Just go to reallifetrading.com, click on the free week link, put your information in, and it will take you right into